if you do real estate, you should be able to do all, right? Because that's your job. Is it wrong to specialize? No. But for me is that I like to be always in the know and learn. And I do believe in leveraging ideas and skills from different areas or different product to apply it to other products. You have the passion, but you don't have the skill, ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
You have the skill, but you don't have the passion. You wake up and you say, oh, it's gonna translate into the results, right? It will be actually maybe even no results.
Right.
And honestly, we always say, you do good, people know, right? But it doesn't spread as fast as when you do just one thing bad, right? It goes down the grapevine in a second to millions. And once you do one thing bad, unfortunately, whatever you did good, people almost forgotten about it. It takes one day for you to be bad. It takes 3 years. In Chinese, they always say it takes 3 years for you to be good for that one bad that you did. I think there are talks about no more agents in the future, potentially. I think it's actually hard. It's not unachievable, but it's still a long way there before it becomes like that.
You need a lot of EQ.
Yeah, lots of EQ. And you can't train AI on EQ yet entirely.
Yin, welcome to the podcast.
Yin. Yes. Hey, Alex.
How are you
What's
doing?
up? Good. Let's cheers. Cheers to another day and a good day, I hope.
Yeah.
So,
introduce yourself. You're in real estate, obviously, but what do you do? Do you specialize in anything? You have your own team? Give us a little bit of a brief description of what you do.
great. So I'm Yin Lynn from Remax Hallmark. I'm the team leader of the Yin Lynn Realtor Group. I do have a team, several agents, and very talented, multilingual from different background. We do residential and commercial real estate, buy, lease, and sell. Everything. From local to global.
Before you had your own team, how long were you in real estate?
So before I had my team, now we're going back, let's talk about in total, my real estate experience is about 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. But I didn't really call it practice in real estate the first 2 years, I would say.
Yeah, I hear that
It
a
was
lot.
very much, I wouldn't even call it part-time. I mean, I was doing a little bit, but I had a full-time job.
Right.
I worked for a Forbes 500 company as a senior exec, senior manager, I would call it, leader of a lot of big brands that we know globally. And I've been there for about almost 14 years just before I left.
Wow.
And my father is a real estate mogul in the industry. He's done it for 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah, so I
40
grew
years.
up watching him do. I went to his open house. I watched him pull out these offer agreements to sign that was many pages. There's a yellow color, there's a white page with a pen and paper, running between houses to negotiate and counter offers. I grew up watching him do that. That's how I got exposed to real estate first. Even though my experience, or call it my time in real estate, has been hands-on very little. To me, I think it's very little, but I did grow up in real estate for a long time.
So
Yeah.
why did you start in corporate, let's call it, and then move on to real estate? What was the trigger?
It's great. So why did I start corporate? I think it's a standard for a lot of students. Usually, when they're about to graduate, they look for big companies to join.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a typical thing that happens. So I basically joined them, and I was working for them for that long. I had lots of opportunity. I was growing. I was moving up the rank, moving up the level, touching different fields for that company. And when I left, I actually didn't choose to go into real estate. I left for other reasons. I had aspiration to build my own business, a beauty business.
Okay.
I haven't started that yet. I'm an accredited beautician, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had aspiration to just take a break. People who know me as an Energizer Bunny. And I said, no, I wanna take 2 years off and figure things out, right? Just to see what would I do for the next decade or two before I retire.
Right.
So, but real estate found me. A lot of people who knew me that had my license and said, so you're gonna go in real estate? I said, well, not quite. I mean, they're like, what do you mean? But you're free. So can't you do real estate? I say, no, you're right, I could. If I have the clients too, I say, why? Do you want to do something?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I want to buy a home. And that's how it started.
Right.
One after another. In the first 3 months, where I call it supposed to be retirement, I did 12 deals.
Wow.
Out of nowhere, really.
Wow.
Yeah, 12 with some commercial involved and some residential. And I became full-time without really having the plans to be a full-time at the time.
So you think that because of your dad's experience and you being in that field, because I hear a lot of realtors say like in the beginning they start with a section or a niche, right?
Yeah.
And then develop it because you had maybe, I don't know, I'm assuming all the experience and like connections through your father or through being in that world for so long through your family. Did you ever specialize in anything? Or you already had deals from all over, so you kind of were doing it all?
Well, that's a great question. You're right. A lot of agents just focus one region.
And it's smart
one area.
if you don't have anything going.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't walk in choosing real estate. So I just basically said, oh, you need help? What do you need help with?
Right.
And I'm the type of person to be, I try to be at least inclusive. And I don't set limits usually on what the opportunities are like. I try my best to fulfill it. So when people come to me and say, I need a business help, I need a residential help, I need a lease, I just help in all those areas. So I continued. And if you were to ask me if I happened to choose real estate at the time, well, in the end, I obviously chose and continued. I chose to not restrict myself in the area for my own point of view is if you do real estate, you should be able to do all, right? Because that's your job. Is it wrong to specialize? No. But for me is that I like to be always in the know and learn. And I do believe in leveraging ideas and skills from different areas or different product to apply it to other products. So what I mean by that is there's certain ways you do a commercial sale that you don't do in residential, but nothing stops you from proposing an idea that you've been practicing in a commercial to solve a problem in a residential setup that's not a cookie cut, right? And often we deal with real estate that are not cookie cut. A lot of people say, well, this townhouse, that house is just a townhouse. You're right, but the owners of the townhouse are two different people. So what if they're the same age? So what if there's the same background? You're dealing with two different people, two different groups of people, I would say. Different background, different needs, different timing of when they are ready to close, move out, and prices. And the house may also look different, right? They may do some upgrade to it. The furniture that have existed inside definitely not the same. One might need more staging, one might not. One took care of the house, one may not. So you have all these element and factor to work with, and that's where I believe in don't limit yourself, because the more you limit your opportunities. So that's why I do as much as I can.
Yeah, because I was on your website and I saw that you have a listing in North Bay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, 4 hours from here.
Yeah.
3.5.
There's a reason for that one.
You have a listing in, I forgot, but in the US. And yeah, tell me, how does that work? How does it not distract you from your local market? And why would they choose you over, somebody who's local, specialized in that area?
That's a good question. I believe the client ended up choosing me because they see the value that I have a breadth of knowledge.
Right.
Not limited just the area. It's great that I have knowledge locally, but also outside to bring in new learning, new innovation, new ideas, how to solve problems or how to create opportunities to sell faster, to buy better, to lease within a mutual agreement setup where we're not even fighting and set up a really great start of Tennessee. My listing in North Bay because I'm actually from North Bay. Born and raised in North Bay.
My wife was born and raised.
Oh, yeah, right.
North Bay, yeah.
Oh, I might end up knowing her. It's a small town, you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how I learned my French. A lot of people say, how do you learn French? I mean, I know Canada is very bilingual, but usually people don't know to say that they know, and I do. And North Bay is where I was born and raised, 20 years of my life there. And I went to a full French school, Catholic school, for the first 15 years of my life. Yeah. And everything was taught in French, science class, music class. The only class that was in French was English class, obviously. Yeah.
Right.
So I picked up a listing there also because my father did real estate. Of course, like I said, 40 years, it was actually in North Bay.
Oh, fantastic.
And this client did come from him as a referral.
Okay.
And this client actually lives in Toronto. Yeah.
I see.
So, and we had a good chat and we set up a listing there. I did a lot of listing in North Bay, mostly commercial focus.
Okay.
Yeah, with some multi-residential.
I'm gonna have to ask you what's going on in North Bay real estate, but
It's a beautiful city, I would say. It's a beautiful, cozy city. It's a major hub that intersect and connect the south to the north and north to the south. Everybody passed by almost near North Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to Sudbury, 10 minutes, you're going down that road. Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of people, let's say they live in Ottawa, you're from Toronto, they're like, let's go somewhere new. They meet up in North Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that you say, because I mean, it's business. If it works for you and you're making money, then your strategy works. You don't have to follow one rule, right?
That's how I differentiate. I say, it's great someone do the focus in an area. That's their business. I don't judge, I don't comment.
Yeah.
It works for them, that's great. For me, I just believe in inclusiveness, and I do believe that I don't need a limit, right? And I often found ways to help sell or buy or lease is because I don't limit myself. I learn from all the different properties I have, the different regions I worked in, and I tend to love networking and socializing. I'm a social bug. I like to learn. You know what? It boils down, if you peel the onion, why? I ask myself why, and it goes down to people just fascinate me. People. We live around people. We do things with people. We get new innovation from people. And people just fascinate me, right? Everybody has a different background, different upbringing, and you can compare two people that's so different, yet they've both come up to be successful, right? Or people who start a success and somehow couldn't make it, and you wonder why. So for me, people just amaze me, and I don't mind going to different places and helping people for that reason.
A question kind of popped in my head. I don't know if it's going to sound rude or not, but
no, sure.
You came from the corporate world and you got into real estate. If you compare like outside of the separate business, is real estate hard? Once you get the fundamentals, if you're a people person and you follow the steps, networking, is it difficult?
Honestly, I don't know any job that's not hard.
Yeah, well, obviously.
It's actually harder for someone is not even, let's talk about passion. You have the passion, but you don't have the skill, ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
You have the skill, but you don't have the passion. You wake up and you say, oh, I gotta do this.
It's gonna translate.
Every day, it's gonna translate into the results, right? It would be actually maybe even no results. So I think it boils down to coming from a corporate world to have the skills to do real estate. It will get you going, for sure. What it really takes beyond that is be passionate, and beyond that is be you, be real. And you're dealing with people's lives. You're dealing with people's savings that they save up all their life. You're dealing with property that they live in it for 20, 30, 40 years, like decades. And they're emotional. And I want to touch about that. In real estate, you need strong EQ as much as you need IQ. The EQ is showing that empathy, showing that energy. They're going through a tough time. You have to show that empathy, but you still have that energy to push. You can't just look at it and say, oh my God, this is a complicated estate sale. I got the whole family plus cousins involved. This is not gonna be worth my time. And you can give yourself all those excuses to not do the deal. But now you just lost the opportunity where you can shine and help this family, despite you have to deal with 10, 20, 30 people, and you made the winning deal for them. It's not about just for you. And you made the winning deal for them, it will translate into your results, right? And the cycle will keep going with referrals and you stay on top. You do need the energy to keep going when your client don't, right? When they give up, they're like, honestly, I don't think I can get it. But you need the energy to say, you know what? I think we can, and I'll show you why. That comes in IQ, right?
It's exhausting. Like,
it is exhausting.
I've looked for apartments before when I was younger. I've bought a condo. I've sold it. Been there where my mom bought a house in North Bay and then sold it. And the worst thing to do, at least for me, I don't know, maybe some people love it, but it's looking for a house. Even if you have the money, even if you're qualified, it's like, such a draining. So imagine if you have a bad real estate agent that, not bad, that doesn't have the energy to help you through it, because it's a lot, dealing with humans is gonna be emotional, right? If you have the knowledge, awesome. You can work in the background, all this stuff. But I think in the front, you're dealing with the customer.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Unfortunately, just like any industry, just like any business and any corporate world, and there are good and the unqualified people. And there are people that just want to go in and out and that's it, don't know your business, and I'm just here for the money. And to say that I do this job for no money is obviously a joke. Like I do need to live, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like any of you. You have debt, I have debt, right?
Yeah,
You got kids, I got kids. I have family, I got friends. We're all the same. We're just real people. I recently talked in one of my appreciation team as well, vendor event, you know, to be a realtor is the first 4-letter, real, R-E-A. R stands for, to me, you have to be responsible. You have to resonate with your people. You have to be able to relate to the people you work with. You have to be reasonable and you have to face reality. You can't just paint a picture on your client that's a wrong image, right? Like the wrong reality. You can't let your client think it's worth 2 million house when the house is only about 1.5, right? Then you're gonna bring them through that cycle of experience, you're not gonna get it. And the emotions start coming out, you're not gonna make the deal. You have to bring all that into what we call the empathy and energy in the E, right? You gotta bring excitement, right? But obviously don't get too excited when everyone's like, no, I just didn't get this deal done, right? You gotta excel at what you do. You can't just talk it all and you can't portray that and you can't action on it, right? O-A-O, so action, the next word. You have to action on it. You have to have access to resource. And that's why I don't limit myself to just one area or just do the buys and don't do the sell or do the sell or do the buy. I just say, no, I have to have great access. I have to learn from others. You gotta keep learning. Doctors keep learning every day. How else do we advance in research? Teacher gotta keep learning to help best teach your kids to have a better future tomorrow. So for us real estate agent, I believe in that, right? To have the best access to resource. So I joined a company, a brokerage, Remax Hallmark, not trying to overly advertise him, but seriously, because I feel they have the resource, they have what it takes to help me and my team, right? And then you bring all this together to the lives, which is the L, right? That you touch, that you hope to touch, and helping them live in the environment that they want you to help them for. And you got to do this with love. Yeah, all of that. Yeah. So realtor to me, the first 4 letters is the most important.
Right.
Yeah. Sure. So the effort to be the agent is, to be honest, it is not easy. It's also not easy because in a way, it's not easy to get the license, but in a way it's not crazy difficult, I have to say. And because this type of job is like an entrepreneur job as a business, there's quite a bit of flexibility how you want to run it. With rules, right? With rules in the Ontario government, they manage it, they administer it. But because everyone's different, and not everybody has that EQ, IQ managed well. A lot of people use emotion first versus, you know, thinking critically and strategically about things. So as soon as your clients say, I'm not selling, what's going on? And you start to get excited too, because you get nervous, you're scared, this is your first listing, maybe your 10th listing that you fail. I don't know what it is. But there are definitely agents I've seen, they get emotional, they get very on a defensive mode. Nope, I did do work, and then the client's like, oh, okay. They have nothing to do but to trust you. You don't have to be like that, right? It just shows like, look, there are visitors, but just no one to put an offer. Let's monitor a few days. You gotta walk them through. Guide them. If you walk them through that way, then they're more likely to be cooperative and understanding and see the light of what you do. Whereas it's just a couple pieces of paper that you sign and just wait for the luck to come, right? And that's, unfortunately, there are some agents I see, they do that. Even when their client's about to give labor in the labor room, they owe the check, they have it ready, but the agent will say, oh, go make sure you deposit. If my shoes, you know what I do? I don't even call my client to say, go and deposit. I say, when can I meet you at the front entrance? Pass it to me, I go help you drop it off, right? There's a difference. And this was just a lease. And I saw that happening because what happened is that agent's client ended up calling me. They're like, my wife's in labor room. Do you think you can come and pick it up? I said, what's going on? I was your agent. I said, oh, she asked me to drop it off, but can you pick it up? Yeah. I said, I don't represent you, but I'll see what I can do. So I called the agent, why didn't you go? So just little stuff like that, right? It just made me see that I can see how people associate, you know, this industry, this profession, you know, that there's no good people in it, right? But there are. There are a lot of great agents out there.
I'd like, if you can help me understand, everybody watching, the structure of the brokerage, because you can, Remax or whatever is at the very, very top. How does that structure down to like a team or individual realtor? Because I've tried to Google it, I've tried to like ask, and nobody knows how to explain it right.
I don't think it's the beginning, right? Is there so much flexibility? There's so many different setups. Yeah. Okay, I don't even know if I can explain it right, to be honest, because I hope the leadership team doesn't come after me for saying, from my own point of view or what I see, and this doesn't speak just the brokerage I'm with, there's so many different versions, right? It's because there's flexibility how you want to set it up. Right. I'm under Remax Hallmark, the brokerage. It is franchise, right? And they bought the rights to be called Remax, and they did a trademark. So Remax Hallmark is a trademark. Okay. And I believe our office get all the tools and the resource from the mother company, right, called Remax. Remax is a global company. Right. We're in like over 110 countries, right? So that's why we have the resource, right? We were connected. So they create, they do marketing as a global company. So, right, and then they also push resource down to the individual franchise, whatever way they negotiate and set up with them. Right. So and then my company, my brokerage, obviously got the license in order to do the Remax stuff. And they also leverage all the tools that they get to pass down. Separately, they also spend money to invest in creating their own customized marketing efforts for the local and regional areas for their own agent. That maybe the head company may not have provided everything, but they definitely take what they provide and then further develop it, right? Further invest and create more materials. So that's how it transpired down to us agents. Now, in terms of team, there's so many different setups. There are team leaders all about, come join my team, I give you leads, right? You do your deal, you're on your own. Yeah, I could try to coach, right? Or I do coach. There's training or there's no training. The training is back at head office with the brokerage that we're all with. There are teams that are more focused about training you and get up to speed, teaching you how to do the frontline stuff, but they don't necessarily have a lot of leads. There are teams that have both, right? There are teams are set up very differently where maybe the team leader hires you to work for them. So you're on salary. You do bring in deals, you get maybe an extra bonus. So many different setups. There's even a brokerage out there that's set up where you join us, anybody that you bring in, when they do deals, you get a cut. Very different setup, right? It's almost like a pyramid effect. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's why you can't find it because there's so many versions out there. Yeah.
What are some of the responsibilities that you take on as your team leader, let's say, right? You call yourself your own team. What do you provide or what responsibilities do you fit?
Sure. So my team, I chose to have a team is more like a hybrid of a corporate world setup to you're at your own liberty and freedom to run your business at the same time. It's a bit a hybrid. So I don't run my team where it's full of rules and restriction and I'm the boss, right? I do have rules. I do have certain level of things, certain things I need you to run it. I need to get approved before you post, right? I would say these are the rules. You must always have the brokerage logo, your name, your contact information on the post, whether it's in the image or in the body of the, like how you post on IG and Facebook, you put it like a blurb in there, right? And then you have to be very careful what you post. When you know something is illegal, don't go and even post about it, right? Like you just hurt your business yourself. Right. Whether they want to go and buy Facebook market space, like to do advertising, I let them do it themselves. That's up to you, right? I give them the freedom that they can definitely do that. But there are team leaders saying, nope, all the marketing control, you don't do anything, right? So it's really different. I do hybrid. I do certain level of posts for them and they take it and do their own if they want to, right? But if in doubt, they obviously can come back and ask me, can we do this together? Or can I do this myself? So we work in a very collaborative relationship and we leverage each other as a resource, not a way like, oh, I bring in all the client and you guys help me do all the listing and do all the showing, do all the open house. It's not like that. You bring in a client, that's great. That client is yours. That's how I set my team. Your client is your client. Why would I take it from you, right? They don't even know who I am. But it's okay that you introduce, I'm the team leader and we work together. I bring resource to help each other, right? And if you go on vacation, for sure, right? Like if you all of a sudden have a random thing that you surface, then you have the team to rely on. Say, can you do me this? Like it's a one-off, right? Or I expect you to discuss this in advance with all of us and say, hey, I'm going away. I might need help because I don't have access to internet. How do we do this? So we make plans in advance and we leverage each other as this resource.
What do you think is the biggest challenge for you operationally?
Biggest challenge for me, that's a good question. I don't have time to think about that. I'm all about taking down the challenge, right? Solving it. When it comes, I think ongoing, just like any teams or any business, is ensuring the operation is sound, is ensuring the operation of the business is streamlined to keep being efficient at it so that we can perform with excellence. If we always target that, oh, this person leading that, at the end of the day, it boils down to operation, right? So I think the challenge here is what operation do I have? What is set up? What are the logistics to help me grow and sustain and maintain status quo, at least, right? So those are the questions that I keep asking myself is like, are we efficient enough? Okay. What are the outages? For whatever outage we have, what can we do to resolve or to prioritize, or do we even prioritize that, right? So I think in that way, and I think probably the top two concern is, am I supporting my team enough individually and as a team leader, right? What do they need that I can help with? Or what do they want that I may not be able to help with, right? And how do we solve this? Is it a priority? Is it not, to me and to them? So, and then the second thing is, how do we make sure that my team remain happy, right? So for me, the biggest challenge is myself. When you think about it, a lot of time, our challenges is ourselves before you talk about what you're dealing with, right? Is what you're willing to accept, what you're willing not to accept. And when you have all these opportunities, technically they are, but you just don't choose it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all about yourself. So for me, when I say my biggest challenge is myself, is I challenge myself to be better, to prove to myself but not to others. Because there's no point to prove to others if it doesn't do anything for me and others. So I challenge myself to look at it and say, where am I at today? Where I want to be tomorrow? What's going on and what am I doing about it, right? So if I can be better at myself and doing what I'm doing, I trust that that will transpire back down to my team positively as a team leader.
You're talking about a streamline. What are those things that you have fixed or you'd like to fix that slow down the team's growth big time?
I think fixing the lead generation part. Yeah, how do you bring leads? This business relies not just on leads, but you don't have leads, ain't gonna work either. This business require often is probably 67%, if you ever talk to any of the top producers, is referral. And then the rest of the other quarter, I would say, quarter to 1/3, is your lead generation. And they work in tandem. It's not like this year I work on referral, next year they work in tandem. And obviously for a newbie, we talk about someone new, right? Oh, I don't have a referral. But technically when you think again, you have a network of people that you know, right? And you need to plant the seed, right? And then while you're working on these people that you know, and plant the seed that I'm a real estate agent, I'm hungry for business, I can do this business, I can help you. You still need that lead coming in. And the lead is that there's so many businesses out there that say, oh, buy my leads, right? I give you leads every month. But you spend money in the lead generation system, you get 100 leads a month, but truly the quality of the leads is maybe 1 or 2, maybe.
Right.
Maybe. And that's with every system that you sign up with. There's no system out there say, I give 100 and 100 will turn into deals.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah, and you gotta work it. And I think that's the struggle that I see, whether you are a top performer or bottom performer, newbie or not newbie, team leader you have or you don't have, having leads is always the struggle, right? Yeah, and having good leads is always a struggle.
Right, because you don't want, like you said, you get 100.
And when you get somebody, how do you judge if they're good or bad? You shouldn't, right? You should walk in with a blank slate and ask questions and work with them and try your best. And then through that effort, you will qualify them, right? And see. Often when we walk in, I ask a question where I felt like, maybe this is not a good lead. But as we talk and they come back in and call me and they show me effort, it turned into a good lead. And where someone walk in sound is like, here, look, I have everything prepared. You're like, perfect, finally an easy lead.
Yeah.
And you know, everything falls apart, right? How do you explain that? You can't. And that's the difference in people, right? It's all about ensuring your emotions intact and don't overly use your emotion to action, right? Be rational, try to stay calm, and try to think critically, right? And that will get you going more than your emotion.
So you're saying that 67 or something, you said that that's mostly referrals.
Referral, yeah.
And then the rest would be like new lead generation. Obviously you need new leads to get referrals, but once you're a top performer, do you see a lot of people just relying on their referrals? Or if you're a top performer, you're working both sides?
You still push, yeah.
Right.
So I'm very happy to say, like, you know, for this quarter 3, since January to now, we ranked top 100 teams in Ontario with Remax Hallmark. We're number 77 ranked. Yeah, very happy. We didn't show up in rank in Q1. We didn't show up in rank in Q2. But I knew we were ranked within the 100. It's just all my deals got dumped in the summer to close, right? So, but while we're working in January and all the way to June, a lot of deal was closing summer and later, right? It's coming, right? So not in the rank is one thing, but eventually I just know when it will show up because I knew we have enough business that I know is going to show up. I don't care about where the market is. I do care to know where it is, how to solve it, how to work with this market. But I don't really care. It doesn't impact me because at the end of the day, we're here, we're hired for the job to come with ideas on how to make things work, how to make ends meet, right? That's otherwise why you're hired for it, right? So I don't spend time dwelling, the market's down, waking up every day thinking like that. I can't do business. Let's take a back burner seat and wait till the market ramps up on fire and then come back out. I say no. Everybody's still got to move. People are still getting married. People are getting new jobs elsewhere. People moving out of the house. Parents need to downsize. They're a senior. They got to move, right? They got to buy, sell, lease. Doesn't matter what market you're in. So I believe in just pushing and finding a solution and solving problem. And going back to your question about 60% referral, does it mean no effort? Absolutely not, right? You got to keep doing well and excel at what you do to keep the business going. And the more real you are, and not be afraid to tell your client and say, I also would like you to make that money. However, the data looks like this, right? Unfortunately, more people get scared to show them that because they're scared that you're gonna leave, right? And say, no, they're gonna look for an agent who's saying, no, I'm worth 2 million, right? But when everybody's sold the highest 1.5, how are you gonna get 2 million? It's like trying to win a jackpot. You have to be real. And with the referrals, you have to be even more real, right? You have to stay real, right? Because they have trust in you. They trust that you're competent. And you gotta showcase to them that I'm not gonna take that trust and burn it. I'm gonna continue it to show you what I have done before. I continue to be only better, right? And even greater, right? In the next deal. So it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time to network, to remind them that, hey, I'm still here, right?
Is that part
even
of
though
your
they don't do,
strategy
yeah,
for referrals?
Absolutely. It's part of my strategy for referrals of just keeping in touch, right? Now, do I not genuinely keep in touch? No, of course not. Like, of course, like I'm genuine, right? I have to. I don't just say, okay, let's call them and put up a nice face. No, I can't act it out. Yeah. It can only last so long. Those who are fake, okay, can only last so long because they get tiring, right? It's like, who actually during pandemic like wearing a mask? Let's be honest, you can't breathe. For temporarily, you can. That mask, imagine all over your face and then cover your body. You're just gonna suffocate. You're gonna leak out sign that all along you weren't real, right? All along it was for a different intention. Nobody likes to work with someone like that. Yeah. If you work with a doctor and you're ill, don't you wanna know the truth? Just, you better tell me so I know how to prepare myself, right? You wanna know the truth, right? And if you don't know the truth, you're gonna get upset because you bought into waste of time or money and effort, believing something that you shouldn't have. And have you known earlier, you would have did something different, right?
And I think the clients that
I think that's what's important with the referrals.
Yeah, the clients don't want to know the truth. If you have anxious about people don't want to know the truth, they're probably not good clients.
That's the thing, right? And it's not even just about referrals, returning clients, right? Who has confidence in you. And if you put on fake masks, yeah, you're right. You could have got away to get the deal done. Let's do that again for the second time. And this time is a more difficult property. Let's do that for a third time. You yourself would get tired. You yourself will just get into a point where you already forgot what you said before, that you start dropping the ball yourself.
Right.
You get yourself burned.
Yeah, I think it's the whole, even if you're good at leads and whatnot, but they're not gonna come back.
No.
Because they'll know they won't come back. And how many new people can you get? And the most expensive thing is getting a new client, right?
And honestly, we always say, you do good, people know, right? But it doesn't spread as fast as when you do just one thing bad, right? It goes down the grapevine in a second to millions. It's the same thing. And once you do one thing bad, unfortunately, whatever you did good, people have almost forgotten about it.
Yeah, a good thing, it's not like a good and a bad, they're not equal. It's like a good and here's one bad.
It takes one day for you to be bad. It takes 3 years. In Chinese, they always say it takes 3 years for you to be good for that one bad that you did.
Wow.
So as you accumulate, you're basically accumulating debt. Think about it. You do one missed payment on your rent. You talk about rental, or one payment on your mortgage. What do you think is going to happen? You get a scar, okay? You get an alert. Your credit score just doo-doo, okay? Let's do a second one on your cell phone bill that you just missed your mortgage. Now you do a cell phone bill. And then you go pull a credit check, try to get a credit card. That guy at the end just saw, your score just dropped. Well, they don't see the score drop, they just see the final score. But that came from an impact that your mortgage was whatever, and they put a blurb on it, then your cell phone bill wasn't paid. It's just impacts for the end user. That next person ain't gonna go. You ain't gonna fly, right? That's the thing. It's things are holding you back because of the way you behaved or the way you action. Your operation.
I think people start thinking, or there's a feeling that the short money is what they need, right? So they'll compromise their morals, even if maybe they don't have morals, but they'll compromise on being a good person. Although time flies. When you see one cycle of business or one cycle of anything, you see that it's really fast. Time flies. And
time flies.
If you're actually putting in the work, your good work and you being good will come back quick.
Yeah.
Because short money will not be long-term money.
Yeah. I don't talk a lot about other agents, but we hear all kinds of agents in the news, right? I don't know if you heard about the one in Vancouver. During a showing, an agent opened the fridge, drank some milk.
Oh, yeah.
You heard? See?
Yeah, of course,
See?
Of course.
It travels. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And in fact, I heard that through, I can't remember, is it one of my team member or agent or my family even told me, right? It doesn't need to be people in the industry to tell you. With social media these days, it's very hard. And let's say you're like, I'll do bad stuff and I just don't go social. Sure. There's a saying, in most cases, we're only 1 or 2 degrees away from the people that someone knows somebody, right? It's very true. You just told me that you know North Bay, right? I'm from North Bay, and I didn't even know this. You and I talked a couple times, and I didn't even know you were until you bring it up. It just takes that one moment and for things to surface.
And they connect, and
they connect.
Screwed.
Exactly. So there's no need to be not real and dwell on it. And honestly, you do good, it's gonna come back to you in 1,000 ways.
I want to ask this for other realtors.
Yeah.
Can you share what kind of strategy you have for new generating leads?
So there's a lot of ways, right? So there's door knocking, there's cold calling, there's buy these platform that gives you leads. There is your own listing. There is open house. The list goes on in so many ways. For me, obviously, I generate leads from my listing. Okay, I post everywhere. I network everywhere. Within my network of agents that I know that tend to practice in a particular area, I go to them. I say, in the case you haven't seen, I got a listing coming out in this area that you work in. I voice. I'm very vocal, right? I'm not shy to advertise, right? Verbally. And by going to events, I mention it, sometimes in the right setting, right? I attend a lot of events. So for me, it's networking. That's how I generate leads. For me, is also, I don't send any blast email communication to my whole database. I customize segmentation to really know my client, right? So if I know my client is an investor and all they care is land, I'm not gonna send them all these assignment sale, new projects and stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense. They're only looking at land, and I would network to find them land, right? But if it's just like, oh, I'm just an investor, I can buy anything, I group them together and I have a new listing come out, boom, right? I do. So because of my tailored, custom-made approach, I think it builds a lot of value in people to just refer and then bring me new leads.
Okay.
That alone itself. And of course, my office have a lot of resource. We talked about that. We have a system where they generate leads naturally. Yeah, Hallmark. Yeah, Remax Hallmark. And my own website also generate leads. We have a section where they enter emails and people just look me up or somehow locate a listing through my website, and then they come through. So that's how we get leads.
Okay, so your own listings kind of draw
my listing draw leads
into your website.
Yep.
And then maybe they were going to buy, maybe they're not.
Stranger go to my website.
They'll contact you, or they'll add to your email list. What do you, either or?
Add to my email list. I get notified. I reach out.
Okay.
Another way to generate leads is that I have signage on my listing. There's a QR code. Everybody do it now, but everybody do a QR code differently. One QR code goes to their website. A QR code goes to their WeChat or WhatsApp or ID, right? Like their contact information. My QR code goes to my listing directly. It's not about featuring me. I'm here to sell this property. Why would he need to feature me? If they like the listing, they'll scroll down who would I contact. If they like the listing, they have an agent, they don't even need to figure out who to contact. They go back to the agent saying, look, I want this property. So my QR code goes to the listing.
It's so
my
simple.
open house,
so
I'll tell you another thing.
I
go to open house. I remember a couple years ago, I was in a different team, my cousin's team. My cousin did a lot of training coaching to me. I have to thank him for it, actually. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have gotten as far as where I am today and grow from there, okay? And create new ideas on my own, obviously, from where I was trained off. But going back to a couple years ago when I was in his team, one of my colleagues, a real estate agent, she went to an open house, and I also went to another one too, where we come back, we're like, this is interesting. Cars parked along the outside, the house, the door, the front entrance open, packed with people. When you go in, the first thing I saw, and she also went to another property and she saw that too, there's a big banner, 50 reasons to work with us. And then we walked in and we're like, wow, this is a crazy open house. Of course, that listing had a low price, asking price. This create bidding war. We walked there, we didn't even know which agent is who, number one. Number two, when we finally realized who is an agent, I was like, are you this agent? She's like, no, this is my colleague is this agent. We have lots of agent here today. And I remember like, you have lots of agent here today? And then my colleague basically asked her, why so many agents? He's like, oh, because look, we have so many people coming in. We're like, right. So, but there's so many people, like how aren't you afraid that someone's gonna steal something, right? They're like, oh, don't worry, we have lots of agents. He's like, but there was no agent upstairs. Like, oh yeah, because we're all down here, we're selling. So then my colleague went around, the real estate agent that I know went around and kind of observed what these so many agents do. There's at least 10 real estate agents on the main floor. Not a single agent was upstairs manning the situation of people going in and out, right? The property, taking stuff or not, right? And they all saw what each agent do. She was listening. And one agent was like, oh, you know what, this property's not right for you. Let's go off and take a look at another property. You don't have to buy this property. Which is not an unusual thing to say. The next agent is like, oh, here's my business card. I got listing over here. Selling other property listing. Then she looked on a counter, right? And on the counter, there's so many pamphlet flyer about another property. The feeling from this I got is, yeah, you're selling this property, but you're killing two birds with one stone in a way, using this house as a sales center. Yeah,
it's their lead magnet.
Yeah.
They probably priced it that way. They're just like, oh, this is a good
Now, if you ask me, is that right? Oh, I can't judge. Obviously, they think it's okay. For me, with that kind of traffic and the chance of a risk for injury, selling, there's just no movement. And everybody's confused. Nobody was actually really there anymore to really talk about that property now. Every agent who's not a listing agent from that business in a team was all about bringing their client, like, oh, let's go elsewhere, let's go elsewhere. So how are you gonna sell? So that house was listed for about 2 months before I came on listing nearby, okay? And they didn't sell. I sold mine in 3 weeks. I had 100 viewers during open house. And I didn't bring my team like that. I didn't have a big banner, 50 reasons to work with me. Yeah. If I ever have a banner, it will be the reason to buy this property. Yeah, because you're doing that. So there's a difference, right? Yeah. So lead generation, that's another way, if you like, I guess, use someone's house to advertise about all the other listing that you have. At the same time, try to sell this listing. But then also you divert the focus, right? Yeah. Is it right? Is it wrong? I can't judge, right? I just, personally, I wouldn't do it myself, but maybe there's some owners who don't mind. And
like we said, there's a lot of ways to build a business and make money.
I mean, let's be honest. If they say, well, I don't like this house, do you have any more? Of course I'll talk, right? But the first word wouldn't come out, oh, I have many listings if you don't like this house. I wouldn't even go that because I'm here for a reason. I'm trying to sell this house right now. Right? So I would definitely mention, say, oh, how do you like this house? And they say, no, not quite fit. What kind of fit does it suit you? I'll ask them the question. Is it just this area, this street? They're like, no, I look in this region, this region. I was like, may I propose that later I could send you some information? Sure. What's your name? That's how I go. That's how I run my business, right? Different style. Everybody's different.
I still can't get over the QR code.
The QR code is scanned to I scanned one. It's so funny, Alex. I scanned one. It goes to an unknown site and it literally did not open. The site doesn't work. The agent itself didn't even test it. It defeats the purpose. So sad. You tell your seller that I got this, I got that, it's gonna scan. Next agent, I remember scanning, it goes to their WeChat, they're talking about themselves. You're not selling the house, you're selling them. So they scan, they expect to, then scan
People want to scan to see how much how much is the house.
So mine scanned to the virtual tour. So some of my listings scan to the customized website for that one property only. Everything is there. Photo, floor plan, the blurb of the property, how to contact me, of course, right? But my contact is all at the bottom of the page. It's not even in front of your face right away. And it has all that virtual tour and stuff. But if it's not customized sites for a particular thing, it would literally go to my website to the listing, right? Yeah, it actually goes to the listing. So it's just a different way of doing things. And I think that's what makes a sale a lot faster, more efficient. And those are the areas I looked at.
I think that's, I don't know, but like to me, it makes it seem because of your corporate past, you know how to reduce friction.
I think it definitely helped. And I definitely got to give kudos to, maybe I should just say it as might as well, the Forest 500 company I work for is Procter & Gamble. It's a large international corporation. And to this date, I still keep in touch. They still keep in touch with me. A lot of the former colleagues of mine at that corporation. Yeah, we get along. We just recently had a homecoming network social night with former Procter & Gamble people. Yeah, so alumni we call it. So we have an alumni network that I'm part of. And I walked in and they're like, Lynn, wow, Yin Lynn, I haven't seen you. I was like, I know, real estate guru you are. I was like, how? And these people, some of them I haven't spoken to for 2 years. I mean, they're on my LinkedIn. Once in a blue moon, they like my post. I like their post. They went off to like other top tier company, right? Top tier corporate, or they even launch their own business. But they follow. They do watch what you do online, and that's how they know you. And I get referrals that way too. So another lead is online. I post my daily activities, and earlier I got my staff here. You saw. Just take a little snippet of what I do, as they always think agents just make money just like that. Which we don't. We actually do hustle very hard and work very hard. When everybody's off, that's when I'm not off.
Exactly.
Yeah, when everybody's available on the weekend, that's when I'm not available. Because they come to me and say, oh, let's go open house. Let's go showing. Let's go talk about real estate. Yeah.
So this, just for my information, when is the time that realtors are the most less busy, let's say?
You know what? It's very funny because when I walked into real estate, everyone's like, Lynn, by winter you can rest. I'm like, really? Yes, the trend is around November all the way to February. That's when everything's dead. And you'll be preparing in February for whatever you have to come in like March, April, May, the spring hot season. To me, so 6 years with a license, 4 year full-time, 2 year with a team. Okay, that's 2 years, about 2.5 years going in the third year since I built a team. I haven't stopped. I'll be very honest, I'm not trying to brag, but I haven't stopped. Even without deals signing yet, I'm just working, talking, looking and scoping, looking to see who might be the client that needs help,
right,
so that I can help.
Haven't
stopped.
Now I'm curious. Mm-hmm. So are you building a business that you could step back from and it's its own thing, or what's the deal here?
So the deal here is, that's a great question. So I never even thought about starting a team. And a lot of people thought when I start a team, I will take my broker license. I don't have a desire to get my broker license, not because I don't want, not because of anything bad about it. It's just I had a different plan. I have a different plan. I have another business in mind, a fourth business. I have 3 businesses already. Yeah. So that's why. I mean, you can't do it all. And you have to pick and choose where you want to do. To say how to make this business to come back as a cycle, you have to get enough volume to do this, right? If you're on your own, you have to get enough volume to keep continuing. You have to get enough referral that the first 100 don't refer you, the next 200 does. So that you have some basis and some growth every year, right? Some status quo to meet, right? But you need a lead generation one, but you still have to be hands-on. You have to think about, do I hire someone to just make the initial call? Just to ask, where are you looking for? And then I'll get my team leader to call you, or I'll get my boss to call you. And when you're in a team, you need to set a way where it's sustainable. But it's very hard because it will sustain, but you can't stop people from pursuing and finding greatness. Once they get to a certain level, I trust that people will see something else that they're like, you know what? Now it's time for a change. Not because you have a bad relationship with them or they can't grow from here, but they saw something that they need, they have to pursue now, right? That's in any business, any company. So will it get to a point where it's just self-run like AI? ChatGPT, how do you write a thank you letter? And they just write it. No, I don't believe. I think there are talks about no more agents in the future, potentially. I think it's actually hard. It's not unachievable, but it's still a long way there before it becomes like that. You need a lot of EQ. Yeah, lots of EQ. And you can't train AI on EQ yet entirely. They have yet to replicate a robot like a human brain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are definitely function getting there, right? It's the emotional part is the trickiest. Right. Yeah, the data analytical is not hard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's all data. It's like 1 + 1 is 2. You know? Right. You can train and you program it. But when it comes to the EQ part, it's very difficult. And the innovation part is very hard. That comes from people.
Thinking outside something new.
Outside something new.
Like, yeah, a lot of people say that we're going into an era of a lot of regurgitation.
Yeah.
New, just saying the same thing in a different way, the same.
It's true. Well, you know, have you noticed fashion? I love fashion. And fashion is very interesting. They innovate. But when you look closely, how clothes go, they kind of go forward. Mm-hmm. They go backward a little bit. Yeah. They take something from the history to bring back. Right. And I'll tell you what, a lot of time, people is like, well, you got to only look at the future. Yes and no. To me, Yin Lynn doesn't think like that. And to a lot of people, if you think about it, when in time when we talk about real estate market, do we not compare back to the past? You can't just look forward without looking at the past. You can't move forward and decide what to do without looking how well did we do, or how unwell did we put ourselves together last year, like all the sales, like how did it happen then, so that we make sure the future doesn't repeat what was bad before, right? Or if that hits again, we know how to better respond from it, right? So you have to go back to the past. You have to be able to face reality. You need the past to make a better future.
Right. It's the yin yang, right?
You need the past. You need to learn where we started, what the cycle went through, to decide how you're going to proceed to make a better cycle ongoing. And then go back and say, oh, now we're stuck with this problem. It haven't happened for a long time. And you say, oh, it happened back in 20 years ago. It happened in this situation. It happened to this person. And that's how you learn, what did you do when this happened to you? And this is the most basic things that we always do. We ask even our friends, hey, if your boss tells you this, what do you do? What were you gonna say?
Maybe they had the experience.
Exactly. I remember a year ago, didn't you go through this yourself? Yeah. Same, you're sick, right? You're coughing, and you look at all the doctors, you did all kinds of tests, but nobody can solve the problem, right? And you have to rely on other people that gone through it say, you know what? I think I have a friend that went through what you just did, but he could finally figure out it was bronchitis, right? Like, and you're like, yeah, we already avoid that. We did so many tests, it's not that.
Right.
And then it was like, but I can link you guys, you have a chat. Maybe he did something to help himself better through that stage. You rely on people, you rely on experience, and a lot of time the experience is the past. And try to figure out how to be better in the future. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that's how you excel.
You have to have one foot in the future, one foot in the past to be centered, right?
Absolutely. And we actually appreciate more if you don't forget the past.
I mean, I think a lot of
nobody enjoy the past
that's
sometimes.
What they say, that our past always repeats itself because people don't forget the past and they don't want to learn from the lessons.
But the past often have a lot of good and the bad. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of negative stuff that happen. But from the negative stuff, people learn how to be better and appreciate what we have today, right? So you and I, we didn't have to run from bombs dropping from the sky, right? Yeah, touch wood, hopefully never. But we also have the heart to feel those people these days, even in today's world, they got to deal with that. And then even though I didn't go through it, and there are people going through it now, I know my grandparents did, right? When they were living in Asia with the Japanese War and, just any war, World War I, World War II. And you kind of appreciate that every day they wake up thinking, am I going to survive? If I survive, do I have food? Where do I get money? Where do I get a shed? For us, we wake up, we think about, oh, it's cold outside. Where's my keys?
That's so right.
I'm running late to my appointment. Oh my goodness.
A lot of people say like, when you're in Canada, or you move to, all you talk about is the weather. Like that's because it's a first world problem.
Then don't live there.
It's just the weather.
Don't live there. Or bring a heater with you.
When you're in another country, like
right.
You don't
so the
complain
past,
about the weather,
if you can see the light, right?
Yeah.
If you see through the light of the problem, where actually there's some good in it, not in terms of the action of what had happened, but the positive light of it about your own life or tied to what you're dealing with. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. What you're dealing with today. Right. It's like me earlier on my way here, I said, haven't eaten yet. So I was eating in a car while driving here, right? Not a good thing, but it is what I have to deal with, right? So so we just appreciate that. At least I get food, okay? At least I have a car to drive. Back then people said, one day we're gonna drive, and people laugh at them, right? Remember? One day we're gonna fly. People definitely laugh at those people who said that, right? And those with vision, inspiration, motivation, passion, and faith saying, you're right. I think I laugh at myself too to think that we can do this, but let's try to figure out how to do it, right? And bring resource, and bring people, and bring ideas, and problem solve, right? And it happens. I'm sure Elon had this great vision about electric cars, never thought that he could take over like this, right? Like, and dominate and be a great leader, of a game-changing leader, right? Yeah, he had this beautiful concept. He's like, it'd be great, the world has this. And he went and did it. Right? And he got everybody to say, I see your vision, I agree, right? And then everybody come collaboratively and work together, not just on one person's vision, and now everybody has the same vision, is to transform, is to go to the next level of improvement. Yeah, in the industry from a sales angle, right? Look at how we sell. When the car got launched, right? It's on stage to present one product. Which car company did you see that did that ever? No, you sell when you go to the car dealership. Right? So you don't do a presentation and then live, right? So it's really game changing on how we sell, how we think, how we bring ideas to the table, and how we continue to push to be better and be more efficient. And I think going back to the whole conversation we have today, how do you get leads? How do you get business? How do you? What are the biggest, challenge that you face? It boils down to operation, and the operation involves everything: the people, the thoughts, and what you do. Everything, really, the operation. You don't have a sound system, the operation, you won't get the result. Yeah.
It's not
everything. It's not
big
one
thing that fixes it. It's a million tiny things.
And that's why when you asked me, I was like, oh, it's really hard to boil down. Right? It's a little bit of everything that will create that tension. Yeah, absolutely.
I think we hit our mark. We're down. We're over an hour now. I think it kind of went by fast. It was lovely talking to you.
Great.
Yin Lynn, and anything else you want to say, or are we good?
No, I think it's great. And I think I want to say one more thing is, we work with people in this community, And I think it's important that we also do our best to do goodwill. It's not just for show. It shouldn't be for show. It should really come from the heart. And it should really give back, because if it wasn't through giving back, we wouldn't have the resource. We wouldn't have people who are motivated to do what they are doing every day, right? Passionately, in any field, not just real estate. So when I say give back, it's like it could be through hospitals, through shelters, through whatever that is, right? And it's really important that we support this community. We come together. Where we have challenge every day is when we don't come together to sit down and say, listen, let's hash this out. Let's figure it out, right? It's not about who win, who lose. It's how do we win-win together. Yeah. And if everybody can win-win together, wow, this world wouldn't have any challenge, right? Right? If everybody sit on every opposite of the table, you're buyer, I'm selling, I'm buying, whatever that is, we can come to agreement and we both feel it win-win. Every day will go smooth. So I think this is where in a real estate life, it's the challenge is realtor's life, right? So it's on the go. There's so many factors we need to take into account and we need to appreciate at the end of the day. Yeah.
Beautiful. I won't say anything else. I think that was perfect to wrap it up.
Perfect. Sounds good.